We're officially in week 7 already. This is past the Thursday night game, and we already have a bunch of injuries to talk about. This whole list from Adam Schefter just shows how many people are truly injured. Um, what is not included here is the Garrett Wilson injury. He is definitely out this week, and he may return week 8, but we don't know. You also have Rashee Rice coming back from suspension. So Rice owners, they have their team going up in the world. Chuba Hubbard's coming back from his injury, so we don't know, is it going to be Rico Dowdle? Is it going to be Chuba Hubbard? Is there a 1A, 1B situation, or has one of them, will one of them take over? And then, of course, big news with CeeDee Lamb and George Kittle coming back. I mean, that's absolutely huge. George Kittle was playing lights out before he got injured, and of course, Lamb is a top 5 wide receiver when healthy. This does not include the Mike Evans news, where Mike Evans is coming back as well, so that's obviously good for everyone who owns Mike Evans, especially when you consider Igbuka, who's out with his own injury, as well as like Chris Godwin. I'm assuming he's not going to be playing. And you only have 2 teams on the bye week. You have the Ravens and the Bills. And those are 2 amazing teams, right? You have Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson in there, but the Ravens have been struggling. So this is a well needed bye week for them, and they need to get Lamar back and start winning some games. Luckily, they have a good schedule coming up, so maybe guys like Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews are more worth it. Say Flowers. The bye week is good for them. They can just rest up and rethink their strategy. Last week in my 14-team redraft league, I had a 4-3 record. I did not expect this matchup to be a win for Speed Picks Up Water. I hate that team name. W Speed. I expected Master Beaner 41 to beat Donovan's team, but unfortunately, Donovan did get the dub. So we have an 0-6 team. They're basically on the verge of being mathematically eliminated. And then my number 1 rated team, Benedetti, decided to not start Rachaad White, basically being an active owner and throw away their chances. But even if they did start Rachaad White over Chuba Hubbard, they had the injury to Puka Nacua, so they would have lost anyway. And they're playing against a 32-point Bijan week. That, I mean, no one could win against him, but still, like, you want to see him actually start his players. We do have a trade to talk about. If we look at it, it was Tony Pollard and Rome Odunze going to my team, Winton, versus on the other side, I give away Rico Dowdle, the 2 30-point week performances, along with Marvin Harrison Jr. to Spec, who owns Knights of Templar. I very much prefer Odunze over Marv, despite Odunze having a bad week. I just think Odunze's in a whole separate tier. Marv, you need the big playability, and he's a boom or bust option, kind of like Jameson Williams. And then with Rico Dowdle, obviously he had the 2 amazing games, and I would prefer him over Tony Pollard, but I wouldn't prefer him over Tony Pollard by much, simply because Hubbard's still in the offense. I don't know how good Carolina will be in the future weeks. Sure, they're 3-3, but you don't expect the Panthers to be that good. And even if they're good, I think Dowdle's going to be in a split backfield with Hubbard. There's opportunity for Dowdle to do well, but I definitely prefer the Odunze side. These are the standings in the league. We have the 6-0 Winton in first place, 5-1 Hit and Rugg in second. We have a group of 3 teams at 4-2, a bunch of teams at 3-3. Looks like 4 teams there. 3 teams at 2-4, a 1-5 squad, and an 0-6 squad. Of course, you probably need 7 wins at least to make the playoffs, and there's 14 total weeks. So a team like Master Beaner 41 could only lose up to 1 more game if they want to actually make the playoffs. So they're going to need 7 wins and 1 loss at least. But I'm not going to waste much time. Starting with the first matchup, we have the number 1 rated Winton, my team, 6-0 versus the number 14 rated ShowMeYourTDs. I have an easy victory for myself here. And this is not me being biased. I still think I have one of the best quarterbacks in the league in Patrick Mahomes. I have the double stack now with Worthy and Rice. And you can combine the idea of having Trey McBride as tight end 1, tight end 2, Tyler Warren's just on the bench for fun, right? I predict Vidal will have a good game against the Colts, so he did have a good breakout. He looks like he's the guy, not Haskins, which is interesting. I did not expect that, but I went ahead and picked him up just in case on the off chance that Vidal is the guy, and it looks like he is for the time being. So I expect him to be pretty good until the week 12 bye. Then I think Hampton can come back week 13. Not to mention getting Odunze back. So we have Rice, Odunze, Worthy in the starting lineup. And on the bench, we have Warren, DJ Moore, Troy Franklin, Tony Pollard, Spencer Rattler. On the other side, it's kind of not so great for ShowMeYourTDs, who is missing. Terry McLaurin is another guy who's out. CD Lamb's coming back, which is a huge help, right? But you don't have a tight end other than Mark Andrews to fill. So you're going to have to go in waivers and pick up like Chigakonkwo, and you don't have Calvin Ridley either. So you're starting right now Michael Carter, Alvin Kamara, J.K. Dobbins. But looking at it, you have to replace Terry McLaurin, so maybe you put Dobbs in for McLaurin, and then you have to get creative. But yeah, I'm not going to waste too much time on this matchup. I think it's going to be a very clear victory for Winton, which looks kind of unstoppable. With the second matchup, we have Speed picks up Water, the number 2 rated team, which is 3-3. They're having a good comeback, and then we have the 9 seed RichieK. So I have Speed picks up Water getting the victory, despite having to start Genocide at quarterback. What I would say with this team is I would go ahead and just put in Jordan Mason over Harvey. I like Harvey as a player more, but looks like Dobbins has gotten most of the work, so I can't say that you should go ahead and start a guy that's averaging 28% of the snap share. But you do get the 30-point Jamar Chase game in Thursday Night Football against the Steelers. Normally, these videos will come out before Thursday night, but with my work schedule now, they're going to be coming out after. They're going to be coming out on Saturdays. So I'm going to have some oversight on Thursday Night Football. Like I will know what happens in Thursday Night Football, but 23 targets. I mean, what could you say about Jamar Chase? Like he was clearly the guy to draft, and even without Burrow, he is the guy. On the other side, it's a little bit of a tragedy with RichieK. He gets a good Aaron Rodgers week, which is very important for this team to have a chance. And Chase Brown does go ahead and give you 108 yards in week 7, but you still have problems. Henderson plays Tennessee, which is a good matchup, but I don't know what his work share will be. He's kind of averaging 30% of the snap share right now, so he's not the guy over Ramondre, as much as he's more talented than Ramondre. I can't tell you to start him. Brian Thomas should play good against the Rams in London. We have JMO Monday night against Tampa Bay. That's going to be very fun. He's probably going to be doing good. Alec Ayamanor is a very good prospect. He should probably do well. And Fannin has no Njoku to deal with. George Kittle's coming back, which is obviously a very big deal. If you saw, he was doing very well in his first game before getting out. So I think Kittle will be the main target in the offense, which might mean there's a slight hit for Christian McCaffrey, but it's not that bad. I still think McCaffrey's a really good player, so as long as McCaffrey doesn't get injured, which is very possible, he'll be ranked as like a top 3 running back. And I expect Igbuka to miss on Monday night, so Mike Evans is more interesting, but Igbuka is probably not going to play week 7. There's a chance he doesn't play week 8 just so he can get to the bye in week 9, but I don't know if they're going to rush him back for week 8 game against the Saints, a game that they're probably going to win even while throwing it to like Tyler Johnson or something. And there's a decent argument to start Nick Chubb over Henderson, but that's up to you. He's coming off a bye. He might be well rested to where Houston might be able to win against Seattle and just run the clock, but I'm not 100% on that. Woody Marks could have a good split, so that's up to you. This third matchup is game of the week. We have the number 5 rated Master 41 against the number 3 rated J5 Moto. Despite what Sleeper says right now, I have Master losing to J5 Moto. I think it's going to be a close game. That's why it's game of the week. And it's extremely important because this team needs to win. It's basically a playoff game. If you lose, you're 0-7. 1-6, you might have a chance, right? 1-6, you can go 8-6. 1-6, you can go 7-7. Possible. Not likely, but possible. Daniel Jones plays the Chargers. He's actually been playing pretty decent. Of course, this team is waiting for Joe Burrow to come back, but that'll be in December. So you're just kind of hoping that Daniel Jones will carry you to victories. You have Devon Achane against Cleveland. That's going to be a great matchup. Krosky Merritt against Dallas is obviously an amazing matchup. This is probably the best matchup JCM could ask for. This team had issues with running back, but once he traded for Achane, gave away Chase for Achane. It helped his running back room a ton, but the problem is with the receivers. He has Malik Washington currently starting. I would just go ahead and assume that Mike Evans plays, and then you can consider starting Golden instead of Stephon Diggs if Diggs is injured and not playing. And then with J5 Moto, though he has a 47% chance to win, I have him winning this matchup just because Jefferson's on the bench currently because he had a bye week last week. So he's going to be put into the starting lineup for Zay Flowers, who's currently on bye. And I don't know. Ferguson has been really good. I don't know. I want to see what happens with Ferguson once Lamb is back. I want to see the target share there. Warren had a good game. On Thursday, he had the 127 rushing yards as well as a decent amount of targets. So you got to be excited there. And you still have Jonathan Taylor, Baker Mayfield, who looked phenomenal. He's playing the Lions. That might be a crazy game. So you have Devontae Adams with no Puka Nacua. I think that's a smash. Travis Hunter's playing against the Rams. That sounds good to me. Like, it looks really good for J5 Moto, which is a damn shame for this team here. I mean, like, you draft Jamar Chase and then you trade him right before he turns into a true alpha again. Like, that's just a shame. But this is game of the week, so we'll see what happens. With the fourth matchup, we have the number 6 rated Marmar 50/50 versus the number 8 rated Benedetti 91. So obviously Benedetti falls from number 1 to number 8 after a very disappointing game where Puka Nacua is out. This seems like a more inactive person, so if he's not going to change his lineup, he's definitely going to lose. But even if he does change his lineup and put in like Rachaad White, who's probably going to be just the bell cow against Detroit, and then start another receiver, maybe Besh or something, then you might have a better chance, but I still expect the other team to win here. Marmar I mean, if you look, he has a pretty solid team. The only issue is DK Metcalf gets 6.5, kind of a dud week. He's starting Tutu Atwell. I don't know how good Tutu Atwell will be, but specifically for this week, he will have a bigger role in the offense because there's no Puka. And I'm very happy with what Chris Olave has been able to do, despite being on one of the worst offenses in the league. So I'm pretty excited for this team. They're doing pretty well. Josh Jacobs looks like a top 5 running back in fantasy, just getting the 29-point week against the Bengals. And Arizona's not much of a defense. Caleb Williams looks pretty damn good. He played a pretty good game against Washington. So I think against the Saints are not that good either. So I think they're going to be able to throw the ball. That's why I have Marmar winning and moving to 5-2. 3 matchups left. We have Donovan's team ranked number 13 versus the Bourne Legacy ranked number 11. This team was formerly number 14. I've moved them up since we have Nico Collins and Stroud coming back. And then on the other side, we have Donovan's team, who's number 13. I had them ranked number 11, so he's gone down 2 slots. With Donovan's team, it's just Dak Prescott, McCaffrey, and London. Garrett Wilson's not going to be playing. I don't know why he's doubtful. He's just not going to play. Noah Fant does get the touchdown. That helps a lot, but you also have Josh Downs not playing. So realistically, what you're going to have to do is start Jalen Naylor, right? And then as a backup option for the flex, you start Brian Robinson, who's currently just a backup to Christian McCaffrey. He gets 2 points a game, right? He gets 7% of the snap share. I don't know what this team is going to do on the bench. the Bourne Legacy. I mean, this team has a chance to do some crazy comeback. They're 1-5 right now, but they have an advantage for sure. Love plays Arizona. I'm not scared of that defense. Ollie Gordon's probably going to be doing nothing, but he's there for the vibes. And Charbonnet plays Houston. I think that could be something where he might see a vulture touchdown, kind of like week 1, 4, or 5. That's, of course, what you're trying to get for Charbonnet. But if you look at T. Higgins, he had a great game, 6 of 10, and the 96 yards, the touchdown. He slides at the end of the game to seal it. So I like what T. Higgins did that game against the Steelers. It was a shootout, really fun Unk Bowl. You also have Jason Bourne playing Atlanta. I'm less interested in Jason Bourne, knowing that Kittle's back, and soon enough we're going to see guys like Jennings, Ayuk, Pearsall all back. So Bourne's going to be losing some target share. And you have Nico Collins Monday night against Seattle. That's going to be some sort of smash. Michael Mayer is playing Kansas City with no Brock Bowers. So that makes sense to go ahead and get Mayer as the backup option. And the big Q, of course, is the best player in fantasy football. 2 matchups left. I'll take the number 4 Hittin' Rugg versus the number 7 RichieSnaithSr. So 4 versus 7, kind of a competitive game. But you start out good with Hittin' Rugg getting the touchdown from Jonnu Smith. Normally, you don't expect Jonnu Smith to do that good, but he's kind of dependent on these touchdowns. And you still have Montgomery and Javonte Williams still in the lineup. You do not really have any running backs behind them. So for the bye week specifically, you might have issues. But you still have the number 2 and number 3 overall wide receivers. And specifically for like this week, they might be like number 1 and 2. Or maybe like 2 and 3 because Jamar Chase had a crazy game. But yeah, we'll see what happens there. Marvin Mims, I'm not excited about. Kate Otten, I'm not excited about. But I don't know exactly who you'd start over these guys. So you might want to start Cameron Johnson against Detroit, but that's up to you. I think Kate Otten could do better. So, and with Richie's team, of course, we have Bijan Robinson, who's like the best team or the best player to have in fantasy right now after he fucking crushed me in my dynasty league. 32 fantasy points in half PPR. This guy got 8 targets, 6 catches, 68 yards. If you got this from a receiver, you'd feel good. But you got it from a running back that also gave you 19 attempts for 170 yards and a touchdown on the ground. So he's basically a cheat code. If you have him, you keep him. The rest of this team is kind of mid, though. That's the problem. You have Bijan, and then you have mid. Kenneth Walker's kind of mid. I'm fine with Walker, but you still have a good role with Charbonnet, so he's kind of a 1A, 1B situation there. And then you have Drake May, who he's damn good, right? Like he's a very good value, but I don't know how much better he'd be than, say, Justin Fields against Carolina. And you're still missing Hampton sorely. Like he's probably gonna miss more than 4 games. He's probably gonna wait till like the week, the bye week there. The bye week is week 12, so like week 13. With the final matchup, we have the number 12 rated Saltybeaner versus the number 10 rated Knights of Templar, which I have Knights of Templar winning despite being in the bottom half versus Saltybeaner. So the problem is with this team. One, you're missing Derrick Henry. That's a big problem. He's on bye, so yeah, everyone goes through bye weeks. So at least you're getting through that bye week for the future, but it will not help you this week. You'll have to start Tootin. As much as I like him as a prospect, he's not there yet. George Pickens has been very damn good, but the problem is Lamb is back, so I don't expect the targets to be at 11 anymore, maybe at max at 9. But Pickens has been damn good, so you're excited about what he can do against Washington. And Juwan Jennings is good to go. I did not know this, so that's absolutely huge. Go ahead, start Juwan Jennings. And the only person you have to deal with is Kittle there, basically. I mean, you have Kendrick Bourne. You have Jason Bourne. He has more aura than Juwan Jennings, but I would probably say that Jennings is going to get more volume. But that's about it with the team. I mean, if Zach Ertz and Debo don't play, then you have to sub people in, but otherwise, it's an okay squad. It's just you're kind of carried by whatever Washington does. Bo Nix plays the Giants. I'm not scared of this matchup whatsoever. The problem with Knights of Templar that prevents me from ranking them higher is them having to start guys like AJ Barner and Trey Tucker, who I don't necessarily trust, especially with AJ Barner not getting more than 3 targets in a single game, except for one, and that was in Week 5 against the Bucks. So I don't know if I'm like jumping for joy with him starting AJ Barner, and he currently has no backup with Jawan Johnson being traded to my team, which is like overloaded in tight end. And then he has Trey Tucker, who I mean is fine. Like he's going to probably get maybe 8 fantasy points, something around there. I don't know how good he's going to be. And with Rico Dowdle, um, obviously he had the 2 crazy games, 30 and then 31, almost 32 fantasy points, 60 fantasy points in 2 games. Insane. But let's look at context here. He had no Chuba Hubbard, who's now back against the Jets. You played the Dolphins and the Cowboys, who are 2 very bad defenses, and you won both games. So they were able to run the football. Not to mention, his attempts got to 30. So I think that will be split at least in half, where he's going to be getting like 15 attempts. Um, but 15 attempts is still damn good. And if he goes ahead and gets that with like 2, 3 targets, then he's definitely startable. But I don't know about like 30-point weeks anymore. And MHJ is the boom bust option. If he gets a big play against Green Bay, then you're obviously saying you're jumping for joy, right? You're just saying, "Oh, thank God, I've um, survived another MHJ week." But you just never know. That's about it with these rankings. The longer we get through the season, the easier it is to see who's doing well and who's doing bad. And we're going to be starting to eliminate teams very soon. Once we get past the halfway mark, teams at the bottom are going to be on the cusp of getting eliminated. I would go ahead and shoot for at least 7-7, um, if not higher than that, if you want to make the playoffs. And if you get 8 or more losses, I would say your season is over for the most part. But I'll see you all week 8. There's a lot of buys in week 8, so we're going to manage it together that week. But I'll see you all next time.